Do you write from a faith-based perspective? If you've struggled to balance selling something to your audience while also serving your audience, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Clarity Sessions. Welcome to the Clarity Sessions. My name is Brian Dixon, and I'm so excited that you're here because you are in for a treat. Today, I speak with Tia McNelly, and she writes at tiamcnelly.com, and she asks this question.
When my blog is centered on offering spiritual encouragement, how can I monetize that without, kind of peddling the gospel, so to speak? I don't want to try to sell Jesus.
Right.
But at the same time, there's got to be something that I could offer.
Absolutely. That is a great question. And it's a question I see quite a bit, actually. And not even just in the faith-based space. I've even seen it in the parenting space. Like, who am I to sell parenting advice? I just have a couple kids. Or in the really any space. I've seen it in education and parenting and faith specifically, but even in fitness coaching. Who am I to offer fitness coaching when blah, blah, blah. So sure. I think there's two issues. One of them is probably some of the imposter syndrome stuff of I'm not really an expert. There's other people that are more qualified or whatever. I think you probably have a good grasp on that, knowing that you provide value. So I think the second issue is in the challenge is in providing the value that people are looking for a reasonable price that they're going to experience, the result that they're hoping for. Like, people hate to buy or hate to be sold, but they love to buy. So let me say that again. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy. And so it's like, imagine going to, you're going to a store and you're walking around and you're not really sure what you want, but you do not want somebody to come up to you and try to sell you something that you don't want. That's where it gets
happened to me before.
Yeah. So avoiding that. And I think the answer is there's two things that I would do. Number one is really leaning into your audience and start with your people and really figure out where is it that they're stuck and what are the tools that I can offer. So you're not necessarily selling. This is sort of a different way to think about it. You're not selling necessarily the content, the faith content. You're not necessarily selling access to the Bible. They already have that. But what you're doing is you're helping them with speed of implementation. You're selling a tool or a resource or a methodology that can help them implement what's already available. And so you almost kind of treat the biblical content, the faith content, as a public domain. It's already available. You can go watch it somewhere else. You can go read it somewhere else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help break it down for you with my system. So you're not selling Jesus, you're selling Tia's system, and people can go, oh, well, that makes sense because I can get a free Bible study anywhere nowadays, right? Sure. But I can't get Tia's system from anywhere else. And so that's the shift in positioning. It's, hey, you can go get it anywhere else, but what you can't get is the way that I do it, and that's why, and then at that point it's just, well, of course she needs to receive some revenue because, this is her thing. She needs to feed her family and do this as a living. So that's the first kind of mindset shift. Is that helpful?
Totally. Absolutely.
Okay. And then the second one is the idea of looking at some models and having other people that have done it, other people that have gone before. The concept is that success leaves clues. So you can look at people that have had success in that space. There's nothing new under the sun. There are already people that are making a full-time living teaching people how to study the Bible, and they're doing it in an ethical way, in a moral way, in a way that you can look at and say, I approve. That works for me. Yeah. And then it's really just studying their business model, going to their website, subscribing to their email list, and looking at what are the income streams that are making sense in that niche. So from one message, there's about 14 income streams. There's all kinds of different ways to take that message and package it up, whether it's an audio book, a Kindle book, an ebook, a physical book, an online course, membership site, paid speech, paid webinar, consulting, coaching. There's all sorts of things that you can do. Yeah. I think getting to know your market and saying, okay, look at this. So can you just name a couple people in your space that you that you kind of admire their business model? You look at them and you say, they're doing it right.
Yeah. So I would say probably like Jess Connolly would be one.
Yeah.
And the book route is definitely a path I'm on in that regard. And then I like her retail business.
Yeah.
So that's one. Same for Jen Hatmaker. She's kind of a really well-known one. Let me think. As far as the way that Bob Goff is able to serve his people with just good words. I feel like that's someone that I really admire in this space. Awesome. Really the way that he monetizes his business's books, I guess. So
yeah. So then what I would do is you could either do it physically, like literally on a wall or on a whiteboard or in a notebook or something, or even on the computer, but to go, okay, this is my, I'm going to make a table and there's 4 columns. And column 1 is Jess, and column 2 is Jen, and column 3 is Bob, and column 4 is Tia. And, what are the different income streams that you see? Okay, well, all 3 of the people that you just mentioned, they all do speeches. So they get paid to speak at conferences. All 3 of them have books where they have book contracts. They have in advance, they have royalties. Some of them have licensing rights. You mentioned Jess has a physical store and different things that she sells. I think Jen has some things that she sells as well. But let's look at Bob. Does Bob have an online store? And trying to look at the different business models that you see. I know Bob does like a leadership retreat that he charges for, or like a vision casting weekend or something like that. But I'm not sure about Jess. Is she doing some sort of a retreat or a conference? See what I mean? So you're just kind of getting that information, and that's going on the rows. So the columns are the names, and then the rows are the different income streams. And it's sort of like, do they get a check mark or do they get an X? Are they implementing that? And then you can look at it and go, okay, cool. Where do I want to start? What's really going to help my people? And I've actually seen people do really well by starting really high. Often I think we think we need to start low with let's just start with an email list and a lead magnet. But sometimes being known as the person that starts the vision casting weekend, and that's the first thing that you do, and you're like, hey, we're gonna, this is who I want to be as a woman of faith, and if you want to join me, we're gonna rent a beach house. It's gonna be $800 or whatever. And this is what we're going to do. And I'm going to walk you through my process over the weekend, but we're going to get to know each other and really live in this. So they're it's like they're paying for the experience, and the ancillary benefit is learning your teaching. Yeah. So it's almost like they're investing in the intangible. They're investing in the tangible to get the intangible. So it's not like you're not selling Jesus. You're selling the experience and the teaching that you're offering, but the result is they're going deeper in their faith. But that's not necessarily what they paid for. Does that make sense?
Right. And it's something I can deliver in the first place. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. Good. Well, where can people learn more about you?
Well, I'm at tiamcnelly.com, and it's interesting that you mentioned events, because that's the main thing I'm working on right now at collectedworkshops.com.
Well, there you have it. I hope this conversation served you well. Remember to step into your greatness, because your message matters, and it's time to go make a difference for the people in your life. To learn more about my own personal coaching, you can go to briandixon.com/coaching, and to access the full transcript of this episode and watch the video version, you can go to briandixon.com/05. That's briandixon.com/clarity05. Thanks so much for watching or listening to this episode. And remember, your message matters. It's time to make a difference today.